And we're going to get a live update from the ground in Houston right now. Let's turn to Scott Crow. He's the co-founder of Common Ground Relief in New Orleans and author of the book Black Flags and Windmills, Hope, Anarchy, and the Common Ground Collective. Can you hear me, Scott? Welcome to the show. We really appreciate you coming on. When did you get to Houston, and can you tell us exactly what you've witnessed so far?
Well, we're just getting into Houston because we've been. All the major roadways are blocked. The major highways in and out on the north side, the west side, and the south sides are all blocked with water. And so we've been trying to get in for the last hour. But what you've got is major flooding, because Houston and the surrounding area is largely marshland and wetlands, and with bayous that run throughout it, much like happened in the Gulf Coast and after Hurricane Katrina. And so the water can push up further. So we started to see floods, 30, 40, 50 miles from the city. Severe flooding, as well as all the rivers were over the top and across the roadways. So right now, there's a massive amounts of traffic of people trying to get in to do search and rescue, but also tons of people trying to get out to their own safety.
And your personal mission is to go in and participate in some of this rescuing, Scott?
Yes. So I've been doing coordination. What I do a lot of times after these storms, I do a lot of coordination just from where I am in Austin with decentralized grassroots efforts, because there's a lot of efforts. We focus a lot on what FEMA's doing and what the Red Cross is doing, but there's literally thousands of small organizations that don't have big budgets that are doing search and rescue and doing things, not just in Houston, but in the outlying areas between Houston and Corpus Christi. That is very important. So I've been coordinating with them, and I wanted to get an assessment on the ground of what would happen before people started putting boots on the ground and putting boats on the ground, and before street medics started coming in from all these networks.
You were extremely active in the response to Katrina, even defending residents when things turned violent. Can you remind viewers what happened in New Orleans, what exactly you witnessed there, and tell us how it compares to the situation from the way you see it so far in Houston?
Well, sure. Katrina was a disaster within a disaster. You have one of the worst natural storms that ever come on the shore, and then followed by the worst government response that could ever be, which is to do nothing. So they literally left tens of thousands of people to die on their rooftops with no food and no water. And they worked more to restore law and order rather than rescuing people, and that just compounded the problem for years on end, actually. This effort is exactly the same. This very similar storms, because what happened in Katrina and what's happening with Harvey right now is that they're covering wide swaths of land. It's not a localized thing. If a disaster happens in your neighborhood, you can deal with it. But if it happens in your town, you could go to the next town. But what do you do when town after town after town and city after city for hundreds of miles are devastated? That's what we're dealing with from Katrina and what we're dealing with now. And we're also that's a little different is that racism in Louisiana is a lot different than here. There's a lot of white folks that are willing to come and help people of color and low-income communities and immigrant communities, and that's been really good to see.
What lessons were learned, if any, from Katrina? Have they been applied to Houston? It sounds like you're saying you're witnessing similar issues. Do you think the government could have responded in a more adept way?
No, governments can never respond in that way. They're too large, too bureaucratic, too slow, and too heavy-handed. In the early hours, in the early days, decentralized grassroots efforts are the best, because then people can pop up where they are to do stuff autonomously, as safe as they can. And governments can never respond that fast. And also, when they do the triage, of who's going to get services first, they go to the economic districts, they go to the wealthy areas, they leave out immigrants and poor people and marginalized communities over and over again. And that's where lots of people can step in to help communities not only rebuild themselves, but to rebuild themselves for a liberatory future that they see as they would like to have.
We have about 45 seconds, 30 seconds left, but if viewers around the country are curious how they can help out, I mean, you're somebody right now in the streets trying to rescue people. How can people become a part of that?
Well, really, just plug in and look for things beyond Red Cross and FEMA. Look on corporate social media websites. There's churches. There's all kinds of decentralized grassroots relief efforts going on. And either donate supplies, donate money to them, or find out what they're doing and help amplify their messages across. And be careful of scams also, of people raising money that aren't real. But look at where people are actually doing direct relief, where it's mostly volunteer based, especially in these early hours and early days. Don't give money to the Red Cross, who's going to raise billions off of this.
Scott Crow, author, political organizer, co-founder of the Common Ground Relief in New Orleans. Please stay in touch with us, and good luck out there.
Thank you so much for having me on.